Hello and good morning, my loves. Hope you're doing good today. If this is your first time in this channel, my name is Clarisse. I am an intuitive coach, psychic, and traditional African healer. And on this channel, I'm here to reveal to you the secrets of the African rituals and spirituality so that you can navigate through your life and choose to live the life that you want. I hope you're doing good today. Really, I hope that you're doing good. And I wanted to take some time today to talk to you about this question of triggers and emotional triggers. And with the recent events, more and more of my clients who are in France, in the US, and throughout the African diaspora are contacting me because they realize how much what has happening in the US, in France, and to the Black community in general is causing a lot of emotional distress and is kind of preventing them from reaching their goals and all of the things that they have decided for themselves and what they wanted to do for this year 2020. I remind you that 2020 is a very strong year. It is a very strong year. It has the number 4. The number 4 in numerology symbolizes our foundations, uh, really the foundations of our lives. And it is very important that we keep ourselves focused um, to what we want and what we want to build and what we want to create, because what we're doing this year will have an impact on the next 20 years of our lives. So this year, 2020, is not something that we need to, take um, I don't know, not seriously. And um, and so I'm gonna answer to you today on this question: how to stop being triggered. You're here and you watch the news and you can't function anymore. You're, in an emotional roller coaster. You don't know what to think. You don't know what to feel. You don't know if you need to be angry, sad, mad. You're just confused. And as I was saying on my French channel a few weeks ago, I said that this is not a time where we need broken soldiers. And this is not a time also where we must forget that our individual victories and successes will make our community success evident, evident and um, evident. So I really think that we need to stop being triggered, to understand when being triggered is something that helps us, and when being triggered is something that is actually not serving us at all. I'm sorry, I'm having a truck down the road, so I hope that that doesn't disturb you too much and that you don't hear the noise too much. Usually we have birds and hearing the river, but shit happens. So here are the tips. Here are the tips that I usually give to the people who come to see me for a life coaching session or for a calorie reading. And if you're interested in healing with me, you will have all the information in the description box down below. So the first thing that I'm giving you is that you need to learn what are your triggers. You cannot stop something if you don't know what it is. So what we do in sessions with my clients and what we do through my online programs. My first online program in English, I was really hesitating. Should I do Womb Care? Should I do Zen and Organize? And I thought that I was going to do something called a journey, which is a journey through the 7 chakras, a journey through the 7 areas of our lives where we can need clarity, and most especially healing. So it's a 8-week program that will start in September, and you will have the information in the description box. So know your triggers. Know your triggers. And most of the times, we don't really know our triggers. We just, we're so used to reacting a certain way um, to certain situations, to certain events, to certain circumstances, that when we need to change and when we need transformation and radical change in our lives, we actually don't really realize what pisses us off. It can be, political events. It can be racism. It can be sexism. It can be something that you see on TV, a certain subject, a certain matter. It could be someone. It could be something that reminds you and reminds your emotional body of certain circumstances and certain trauma. For example, I have clients who have phobia, and those phobias are actually the reminder of a trauma that they may have forgotten or that may come from a past life. So know your triggers, and to know that, you have a few tools. One that I use is actually a model um, that is about the circumstances, the thoughts, the emotions, and the actions or non-actions that you take. This model was inspired by the life coach Brooke Castillo, and it's been a very, very helpful tool for me and the clients that I coach throughout the year and in their life. So know your triggers, and to know that you have to be really aware of your emotions, really aware of your thoughts, really aware of the circumstances, and analyze things with, some kind of perspective, and look backwards and say, well, do I really want to respond this way to those circumstances, to what is happening in my life? So here is the second tip. If you want to stop being triggered, you really have to know your triggers and to know how you're going to respond to them. It's not because your brain is wired a certain way that you're accustomed to answering a certain way to certain circumstances that you have to do the same thing over and over again. I think it's Einstein. I don't know how you pronounce it in English, but Albert Einstein, the physician. I pronounce it the German way because I speak German. So Einstein says that it takes insanity. You have to be mad to expect a different result by doing the same thing over and over and over again. And it's the same thing with your emotional responses to events and circumstances. So if you want to react a different way to certain events and circumstances, you have to decide up front before the event even happen, and program your brain to respond a certain way. For example, you may know that I coach a lot of women who are divorced, who went through divorce and breakups, and after a divorce, you can be really pissed and angry at your ex-husband or ex-boyfriend or baby daddy. And when he does something, for example, on a Friday night, he was supposed to take the kids and he doesn't take them, and you receive that text message that says, "Well, I won't be able to take the kids tonight." And you go mad and you scream, and you're pissed, and the kids are mad, and you're drained, and you're tired, and you realize that this emotional response doesn't serve you anymore. So if you don't want to be triggered, Well, you know that the person is not going to change, but you can change the way you react to things. So you can decide, well, the next time I'm going to receive a text message from him, what I'm going to do is da 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 da. If you have a colleague at work that, is triggering you, is always, in those plots, at the coffee machine, they're always here, gossiping and all of that, and you really can't take it. And you realize that the emotional response that you have to it is actually at your detriment, that you don't shine your light the way you're supposed to be in your company, and that everybody gets promotion and you don't, because you have all these people always talking, always nagging, always da, 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 and you don't want to respond this way. Well, what you can do is just say, well, the next time that that's something, what I'm gonna do is da 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 da. And 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 when you make that decide, you have to commit to it. When you make that decision, you have to commit to it, and you have to commit to yourself and say, this is the best response for me, this is what serves my best interest, and so I'm going to commit to myself and not be triggered by what she says, what she thinks, what she does. Okay, so here is the third tip. You have to commit to yourself. You have to commit to make a commitment to yourself and to the decisions that you've just taken about how you're going to respond when things trigger you and trigger certain emotions, and that you understand what is the trauma linked to it. And when I say commit, is take a deep breath when the event happens, respond the way you're supposed to respond, and deal with your emotions separately. And commit, and to help you commit to that, what you can also use is visualization and meditation. When you know that you want to answer a certain way, when you're able to use your third eye and to visualize yourself being, aligned, happy or neutral um, to the circumstance, when you see yourself this way, you know that, your brain sees this, and when your brain sees something, it doesn't make the difference between what is real and what you've created. It's the same thing. So you can train yourself through visualization, and you can train yourself through positive affirmations, so that your brain is wired to respond to the way you've decided, to the circumstances, to the trigger. Okay? And the last and not least tip is that, honey, really deal with those emotions. And I think that this is the part where I'm gonna, stay longer. Most of the times we react to things, we don't respond. Okay? We react to things, we do not respond. And what does that mean? Most of the time when we're triggered to things, we react to when you have a trigger, you react to it. This is like a, something of the skin, or a life or death situation. Your brain, your heart, your ego wants you to protect yourself, and has created a defense mechanism that you've really become accustomed to. So you give a reaction, you react to the trigger. But with the tips that I've given you just before, you're going to respond to the trigger. That means that you have a strategy. You have a strategy. You have visualized it, built it, written it. And so you're creating your new brain wires, okay? You commit to them, you act upon them because you know and you've decided that this is the best way for you to respond to what is happening and to what is going to happen in the future. But there is a thing, it's one thing to decide how you're going to respond to things and to commit to it. And it's another thing to deal with the actual emotion and trauma that is linked to the trigger. Okay. It's very, very, very important that you take the time to heal that wound. Because what is a trigger? A trigger means that you've been cut. You got a cut here somewhere. And the cut is not really closed yet. It hasn't healed. It's still not bleeding, but in that state where you don't have, the wound is not clear, and the skin is still, fragile, sensitive. And so you have to take the time to bring love to that wound, to take care of it with TLC, to bring love to it so that it can heal. You have to take the time to talk to the little voice inside of you, the fragmented part of you that is triggered, that doesn't want to be touched there. And bring love to it. Because you have someone who's given you the gift, who shared with you the gift of bringing light to a trigger or to a wound that you maybe were not even conscious of. So instead of, hating that person, bring your attention back to yourself and deal with those emotions. Deal with those emotions. Take the time to talk to your inner self, to that part of you that is fragmented, that is wounded, and bring love to it. And you may tell me, well, Clarisse, I don't know how to do. Well, this is where healers are here, because we know how to do this. But you can also do it yourself. You need to talk to that part. You need to listen to it, what she has to say. Most of the time it's your inner child, but it can also be, the version of you that went through a divorce and that was traumatized. It can be the part of you who has struggled to find a job for 3 years and, who's been traumatized by that experience. And so you have to go back in time and talk to that person who is, wounded and deeply hurt, and say, it's okay now. We got this. Look at where we've come from. We're happy now. We can decide to be happy now. Okay? So my dear loves, I hope that this was helpful. I really hope that this was helpful. If you found yourself very triggered that way right now, currently or recently, and you need help to go through this and navigate through this, feel free to book a session with me, a coaching or carry reading. If you already know the trigger and you need tools to go through it, book a coaching session with me. If you actually don't know what is the original trauma attached to it, book a carry reading with me, and we will ask your ancestors, whatever session you decide, your ancestors, your guides, your angels, to bring us love and to give us a cure, so that you can go through it as easily and smoothly and reconnect with yourself. talk to you soon, my love. Have a beautiful day.